Hello and welcome to the Otaku Oasis podcast, a weekly podcast where we'll be covering an assortment of anime. This week we will be covering My Hero Academia's chapters 1 through 11, or for the anime, episodes 1 through 6. I am your host, Joshua, with my co host here today being Matthew. Would you
Hello.
mind introducing yourself?
Hi, my name is Matthew. Well, I'm not that big into anime, but I recently started watching more and more, and My Hero is currently my favorite anime that I've watched. And just feel like it's got one of the more interesting storylines and world building that I've seen.
All right, so do we want to hop into the first chapter, or?
Yeah, go for it.
Right. Well, actually, I want to start with like quickly covering the one shot for My
Mhm.
Hero Academia, which is basically like it's like what the concept was before first chapter was like released for Shonen Jump. And
Mhm.
so like there were like a few kind of like interesting differences. Like they still had like the whole heroes concept, but it wasn't like the more like how you would say like Western type heroes. It was more of like like the Power Rangers, right?
Yeah.
So they were kind of a bit more like that,
Okay.
and they were a lot more reliant on like the support items thing. As
Interesting.
as Midoriya, as he was still called Midoriya, but like his like name wasn't like Izuku, it was Jack, and it was used for a different like word pun that was kind of similar to like Deku's in the original. But he worked for a support item company, and he was actually an adult in the one shot as well, which was kind of interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, I remember seeing like the early designs for Bakugo, Uraka, and Midoriya, and they look nothing like how they do in
Yeah,
manga.
and like one other interesting thing is that there wasn't like exactly like villains like in the normal sense. They were a bit more of like monsters that you'd see in like those Power Ranger shows.
Okay, yeah.
Like other than that, like some other things were like pretty similar. Like they had like the role model of Positive, which was like pretty similar to All Might. And weird thing is that Snipe's design is actually from that one shot.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, other than that, oh, and one other thing would be that the villain in the one shot is very similar to the villain in like in the beginning of like chapter one dash the first two episodes of the anime.
So like the slime villain?
Yep.
Okay.
But other than that, do we want to hop into the first two episodes?
Yeah, I think you took the better notes, so why don't you discuss it and I can add my own points that I saw?
Right. Yeah. No, I started with just I guess where basically the manga starts off with just explaining quirk origins and so like just basically how they came out of China when a baby was illuminating when it was born, then basically how the powers expanded out from there.
Yeah,
There's
I
only
did
like one page in the manga, so I believe the anime goes into it a bit more in depth.
from what I remember, they mentioned that a child was born that was radiating light and then like immediately after quirks popped up around the world. It was quite a shocking thing. It just came out of nowhere, which is very interesting that genetics worked like that.
Yeah, I mean, and I assume that mostly just for this manga, it's gonna be like, oh, it was just evolutionary thing. But I'm wondering if there was maybe something more behind it. But
Evolutionary
that's
thing because you have your joints. There's only one joint instead of two,
true,
so I
true.
think there's a bit of evolution. I know a lot of fan theories like quirked people don't have an appendix or wisdom teeth, but I don't know how much of that is canon versus fanon.
Yeah. Yeah, and so then just kind of after that, it starts like exploring like how the quirks kind of evolved into people having like heroes as a job and the licenses for that and the monetary gain that people could gain from
Mhm.
being a hero.
Interesting. Yeah, with the
Any
evolution of
comments on that
quirks.
or?
Yeah, with the evolution of quirks, I know we'll get into it. Definitely get into it more later with season 4. But what was it? The quirk singularities theory.
Yeah,
I definitely see how that works because we've seen quirks evolves like traits, and each generation they get stronger. So it'd be interesting to see how each generation of heroes is like power scaled.
Yeah, I mean, and I believe it'll be mentioned later on as well, but like that quirks are still evolving within people
Mm-hmm.
to a point that it may be hard to control.
Yes, especially like with what we'll get into One for All with Midoriya. It was a complete paradigm shift between him and All Might.
Yeah. Speaking of that, at this point, basically, we get our introduction to Deku with him like taking notes at the scene of like a fight between heroes and villains, and basically it just goes to show like his, I guess, love and admiration for that, as well
Yeah,
as it goes a bit into like his inspiration for it, like with how he wanted to be like All Might.
yeah. I think it also shows his intelligence. I mean, from what we'll see, a couple we'll discuss shortly, he takes very detailed notes, and I mean, it's not your run of the mill child taking notes. It's detailed analysis on individual
Physics
heroes.
based.
Yes, he is very smart.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of a joke on how like studious he is with that sort of thing, that he'll
Yeah,
fill out pages of that sort of stuff. I
yeah.
mean, what is he at by this beginning of
I
the
think it
manga?
was
Like volume
no,
23,
I thought it was 13.
13,
I think it's 13.
13?
And people always say that it's creepy, but I actually think it's really cool. I think it's cool that he's taking notes and trying to be better by learning from other people.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be brought up later by All Might, and I don't know if it was like translated exactly like it in the anime or whatnot, but like they call him a superhero otaku, which basically means that he has just such an investment in superheroes that he'll like study a whole bunch of stuff to understand it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just
Uh,
don't agree with people when they call it creepy. I don't think they understand the good it
I don't think it's creepy either. I mean, a
yeah.
lot of people are studious about various things. I mean, it's like there's people who will go very in depth on looking into anime scenes, you know?
Yeah, I think he for as bright as the kid is, he can be very stupid sometimes. Let's all be honest.
Yeah, I mean, while there are some good parts about Deku, there's also some parts that are a bit mildly frustrating.
Exactly.
Yeah, but and so basically after that we go into like the classroom scene, and it talks about like how kind of everyone wants to be a hero, and we get kind of introduced to Bakugo at this point as well, and how him and Deku want to go to UA, which is like the highest ranked school for superheroes.
Yeah, Bakugo Katsuki episode 1 is the oh I I've seen it a lot in fan theories that that the teachers would downright ignore or put the blame on Midoriya for all of the bullying that we blatantly see. And I see it only because every time we see a flashback, we see Bakugo getting praised for his quirk and people telling him he's going to be a great hero. And I
Yeah,
think
I mean, you even see it by like the end of episode 2, or the end of chapter 1, where it's like the heroes are like congratulating Bakugo for being brave, while Midoriya receives nothing.
oh, he gets told off, he gets yelled at. It's ridiculous, but I I I think the teachers are not only abetting in the abuse that we see from Bakugo, but I think they're also blatantly helping him with it. Like, there is no need to
Yeah,
single out Midoriya for wanting to go to UA. I think he did that on purpose because he knew it was going to get a reaction.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's just especially since he's like quirkless.
Yeah, it's quirkism at its finest, but it's not okay at all. I think when you have a society built on strength alone, you have a society that's being ready to get toppled, which we see happen later on.
Yeah, and I mean, also I guess kind of like there are some things in the future that'll like kind of support like this thing of like quirk like quirked people versus quirkless people and whatnot.
Yeah. Like, from what I've seen, Midoriya has the backstory, the knowledge to become a villain. Like, he had the story. If he didn't have the drive and will to be a hero,
I mean, he could have easily become something like Syndrome from The Incredibles.
Yeah, we could have easily have seen a different story. But
yeah.
I mean, we could have seen a different story for a lot of different things if this first episode went differently, but it didn't, and that's what matters.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stories could go a different way, just depending if you tweak a few things here and there.
Yeah, but
so what is it? It's after like basically class ends, and that's when Bakugo destroys the notebook, I believe, is what happens
and
next.
tells him to jump off a roof. That scene has turned me off of I mean, I understand that later on Bakugo has character development, but I still do not like him as a character because of this first episode. I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's meant to come off very brash. I mean,
brash is one thing. Suicide baiting is different.
I don't think it's just the way that I think it more of that he comes off per se.
I don't think he meant it. I don't think he wanted him to jump off a roof. I think.
Yeah, because like Bakugo will constantly tell people to go kill themselves. It's more of just I'd say more of just he's like more of just he doesn't care much for other people.
Yeah,
and that's like part of his biggest flaw, I think.
Yeah, I think I find it interesting that even though Midoriya has the backstory of a villain, Bakugo is the one that acts like one the most. You see his anger, his willingness to attack brutally.
And there are other things that like kind of like build into that as well, but like there are things that definitely keep him from straying from like his heroic path.
I don't see Bakugo being a villain, but he certainly acts like one.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely doesn't act the most hero-like as what you would imagine.
Exactly.
So, and then after that, we get that slime villain attacking Deku in the back alley.
Yes.
Which an interesting thing, since I was reading the manga this time, they it basically just jumps straight to Deku like being in that back alley with the slime monster attacking him. Mm-hmm. But I remember in the anime, like it shows like because All Might comes in and saves him, but it shows like All Might being at like a convenience store before.
Yeah, I think that's in between the teacher announcing the that Bakugo and Deku want to go to UA, and then it's between that and then Bakugo burning the notebook. I think during class, there's some class in between, and during that class, we see the slime villain running away, and Bakugo, or not Bakugo, All Might transforming from Miyagi to All Might and going after him.
Yeah, which is like it's a nice little detail to like explain like how All Might got to where Deku was, because in the manga he just kind of appears. I mean, I guess kind of fits because his slogan is "I am here," but
randomly appearing from a sewer. Yeah, sounds about right.
Actually, he just appears from an alleyway in the manga, which is interesting.
Fun.
But
yeah, that's interesting. I like that change. Okay.
Yeah, and so we get like once All Might finishes off the villain, he kind of like I forget if he reverts immediately or if it's a bit later, but it's symbol of peace talk that he has with Deku. I believe it's on the rooftop.
I believe that's later, but I do know that immediately after he just kind of sits there, and logically, someone who's being basically drowned in slime, you'd call an ambulance, right? All Might doesn't. I think All Might, while being the symbol of peace, not very intelligent at all. For a multitude of reasons.
I don't think there was like really any like harm per se brought to Deku. He was maybe like
but
taken from air for a little bit, but like not much that
I don't know.
Call an ambulance for it.
When he's unconscious after being choked/drowning in slime, I think you'd want to get it checked out by a medical professional, make sure there's nothing wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, but his symbol of peace talk with because it's when he like transforms back, and it's like about how he has to uphold that symbol of peace.
Yes,
like being very important to society.
Yeah, I I don't know if this is Shigaraki main belief or fan, whatever, but it was an interesting point that I saw brought up that when you have a society built on a pillar, a singular pillar, you take that pillar out and it all comes crashing down. And I think while Yagi Toshinori had the dream to be the symbol of peace, and it's a good dream, I think having a singular symbol is setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, it kind of creates a reliancy on it,
Yes.
which you can definitely see like later on as
All Might
well.
even mentions it when he's talking to Midoriya and tells him to give up. That the police, while taking second base to the police, is still a good career. Police shouldn't be second base. I think they should be up there with the heroes. But because of All Might's stand as the symbol of peace, they've become lax and dependent on All Might. And I think we definitely see it later. That's not even that's definitely a plot point later on that it causes a power vacuum and a weakness in society.
Yeah, and I mean, also it's I don't know, like, are the police allowed to use like the? Because I assume like most of the police would have their like quirks as well. Would they be able to use it without like a hero's license?
I think so because doesn't what's the policeman who's friends with All Might?
I forget his name, but I don't remember his quirk either. So
I think he has a lie detecting quirk.
yeah, but like I mean by like there have to be police with like more like physical quirks, right? You'd imagine, right?
I'd imagine, but I don't know. I think they don't. I think they have the right to use them. Maybe not as extensively as the police, or not as police as the pro heroes. But you'd have to imagine that they have some right to use them as police, because down to the basics, quirks are tools,
Right.
and you'd want to use all of the tools available to you within reason.
Yeah, I just like I know like later on they definitely do make it seem like if you want to act with like a quirk in like its full capacity, you need to be a hero. But that just may be like how I interpreted the
No,
like the hero's
I think that's
license
right.
exam arc.
I think to use it to its full potential, you need a hero's license. But I think to use it to some, like you can use it to some degree for personal use without a license, but you can't use it to attack a person.
Fair enough. Okay,
Like we see Inky use
so
her quirk all the time.
that's true. Let's see. So after that, we get what is it? It's Bakugo getting taken over by that slime monster, right?
Yeah, after All Might leaves a quirkless child on the roof after crushing his dreams with no supervision. I mean, you want to talk about bad ideas. That's the worst one right there.
Well, I believe there was a staircase to get down, but I mean,
Yeah,
leaving it on a
but it
rooftop
was
wasn't the best
also
idea.
remember the door is locked. He told him to just knock on the door and someone will get him eventually. And I'm not
Yeah, I guess that's
talking
true.
about a stairway. I'm talking about you just crushed a kid's dreams and then left him alone on a rooftop. Like, you know how poorly that could have ended for All Might?
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a manga, like, and Shonen Jump. I
It's
don't
not
think
going
goes
to end
with
that
that
way.
topic.
I mean,
So
no, he meant like he thinks about it for the briefest second. Like we hear Midori talk about it. It's like, what if I did it? Like, what if? And then decides not to and walks the other way. But like, you know how differently that could have ended for both Bakugo and All Might if he didn't have that strength of mind. Like that's both of their
yeah,
careers thrown away.
I don't know. Maybe that's just like an anime thing because I just like reading through the manga was just more of like
I know at one point,
because like this slime monster practically pops out at that point, so All Might
yeah.
just leaves at that point. So
Well, All Might didn't leave for the slime thing. He heard the explosion. The explosion happened after
yeah,
All Might left. But I don't know if it's
in the
on the
manga, it
roof.
happened as like it happened before he left.
Okay, I don't know if I don't know if like this debating happened like before the slime or on the roof. But I know at one point he thinks about Bakugo's words and considers it like, what if I did it? Like, what would happen to Bakugo if it happened?
Yeah.
But he didn't, and that's what matters. He gets down. He finds the source of the explosion on an accident. Didn't mean to. And then we get to the slime villain attacking Bakugo.
and we get probably the best scene in like probably like the first two episodes is
Oh,
Deku running in to go
it's
save
so good. I
Bakugo.
wish we saw more of that. I wish we saw more of him referencing his hero analysis notebooks and using them on the go.
We see a lot of it at the beginning, but like just later on, it kind of gets dropped. But more of just in the sense because you kind of know how quirks work at that point, I believe.
Yeah,
Really,
but
just kind of also early on, it's like it's a way to have like basically Deku narrate to the audience, "Hey, this is how quirks work."
well, less that, more of like improvising his fighting style. Like it reminds me of Flash season 1, first episode, when Barry is using, and I know I'm still getting off topic, but I'm just making a point. Barry is using his CSI skills, and we see him like actually analyzing the crime scene and getting to a point, and then we never see it again in the entire show. And I think it's stuff like that where it's like pilot information that then gets thrown away to the side for different things that had potential and could have been really cool, but it doesn't get used.
Yeah, and I mean it's also just later on. I mean, it's not that Deku's like ingenuity with his with like that sort of stuff is gone. It's just that more of he uses his own quirk to his advantage instead.
On him, good job. Like I think his big issue, and it's pointed out to him, is that he uses One for All like All Might, and that's his issue. He's not All Might.
Yeah, and like I mean, and we'll see later on that it gets like further from that, but
Yeah,
we haven't even reached the inheritance yet. So,
exactly. We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, and I apologize.
oh no, you're good. You're good. Um, so basically after that we get the aftermath of that with All Might saving Bakugo, um, and then basically
Actually, I
like
have a question with that. He is standing in that crowd, right? All Might is standing. I think he's at the back of the crowd. Not one
yeah.
person happened to be looking at him or just see it out of the corner of his eye. This thin, wrinkly man turned into All Might. Like, how did he not blow his secret identity with that?
I don't think he turned back there. I don't think it was until like
At
a
least in
bit
the anime,
later.
he is standing at the back of the crowd watching this happen. He has his hand on a light post, and then he just buffs up and crushes the light post and walks through the crowd.
Hmm.
I'd have to rewatch the scene, but I'm pretty sure he's at the back of the crowd watching it and then just transforms right there.
Because I think just like in the manga, it's just basically he jumps from the roof to go deal with the problem.
I think that's why that's why I have issues. There's a little bit of disconnect between the manga and the anime, which is logical. You can't always have the exact word for word.
Also, it's just that season one's pacing is like heavily slowed down.
Mhm.
They only cover I think like about like maybe like 15 to 20 chapters in like season one in 13 episodes. So that's only like about like barely a chapter an episode.
Yeah, no kidding. That's really slow.
Yeah, which is why they definitely speed it up in like later seasons where they're covering about like 2 to 3 chapters an episode.
That's a lot better.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking forward to later seasons because I think 3 and 4 are my favorite just because of how well the action works. Like season one's really good at building the world, but I think season 3 and 4 are great at what they do for action scenes.
Yeah, All Might is just shown with like a bit of smoke on him, but like we don't see anything after that.
Yeah.
With
Okay.
him in the manga.
Yeah. I'll have to find a screen clip of it later and send it to you.
We'll get to it when we get to it, but I have a bit of a problem with like the first half of season 4, but
Yeah, I can
it's
see
more
it.
of
I
on
mean,
the animation side than the story side.
yeah. I mean, I could see a person having an issue with the first half of season 4 because it's all fighting. Like that's the entire part of the first season 4 is
Oh,
just
it's not
fight.
the fighting I have a problem with. They did this thing where they decided to split their staff in half to go animate the movie for the first half, and while leaving the other half of the staff to animate the first half of season 4 on their own.
I'm gonna be
And so
honest.
we end up with scenes where it's just stills, nothing
Oh,
happening.
I'm gonna be honest. Didn't notice.
You wouldn't notice if you weren't like a manga reader and
Okay.
knew like how hype that fight scene was in the manga.
Wait,
So
it's the overhaul fight?
yeah, it's
Yeah, I can see it. I'm looking back. There's a lot of scenes that I
It's
can think of.
Mirio versus Overhaul.
Oh, that's the one. I was thinking the Deku fight because, like, the only still that I can really think of is that,
Like the
like,
Deku part of it is good. It's the Mirio part that comes before it that's pretty bad.
okay, I'll have to rewatch that.
Yeah, I mean we'll get to it when we get to it, but
Yeah. Okay, so where were we? Okay, All Might's just powered up. He's walking in, saving Midoriya. I remember
um
actually laughing out loud at the animation of when he's doing his Detroit Smash. He's holding Bakugo and Midoriya in one hand by their hand, and they're just kind of flopping around in the background as the wind pressure goes off. I thought that was the funniest thing ever.
yeah, no, that's like an actual panel in the manga as well, and it's quite hilarious there as well.
All right.
Yeah, but then like with the aftermath, we see like basically like the heroes like consoling Bakugo,
I
while just like
don't
Deku's kind of reprimanded.
I don't get why Deku was recommended. He got the results. They weren't doing anything. Sure, it was reckless, but it saved him. It bought him that few precious seconds of air he needed.
Yeah, it's. I think it's just more of because like I don't know. Maybe it's because Deku seemed like a defenseless citizen compared to Bakugo,
Yeah.
essentially. But
No. But I think it's kind of shitty of them. They don't know the full story. Also, they're
yeah,
boosting Bakugo's ego, which he really doesn't need at all.
he definitely does not need that.
You know, I am surprised how that man has both a superiority complex and an inferiority complex. Like, how do you have both at the same time?
I don't really feel like it's more of like an inferiority complex. It's just that a superiority complex, he wants to be above everyone. So if anyone is above him, he needs to be above that.
But then he immediately feels like he's below Midoriya the whole time. At the same time of wanting to be better at, like, needing to be better than him, he also constantly feels like Midoriya is looking down on him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that boy has some mental health issues that need to get checked. For sure.
I mean, a lot of characters in this manga have some mental health
I
issues,
think
but
Midoriya needs a lot of therapy. I mean we definitely see it later, but he has severe trust issues in adults and teachers alike that needs to get
also
checked
he
before
has
he
a
gets.
very much an inferiority complex to everyone as well.
I really think they need to address his trust issues before it gets him killed in the field. Because
Yeah,
he's
well,
not gonna trust people to help him and it's gonna get him killed.
still waiting on that. And up
Also,
to date on the manga,
way in the
still waiting on
future.
that.
But did I see that All Might got blown up by a grenade in the manga?
I don't think so.
I swear he was on the phone with Midoriya, and then a grenade got tossed into his car, and the next panel's a giant explosion.
I don't quite remember like the most recent chapter that well. I'd have to go back and like
Like
read it.
they can't just kill All Might, right? Like they can't do that.
I mean, they can, but I don't think it'd be in such a lackadaisical way like that.
No, because like Midoriya's getting kidnapped by All for One. Basically, they sent a hitman after him, and at the
Yeah.
same time, All Might gets blown
Oh,
up by
okay,
a grenade.
yeah. I feel like that was probably set up by that sniper chick. One of
Yeah, I
those.
do too.
The end of the recent chapter. Who's
Yeah.
probably already become waifu status among the fandom.
What happened to that person who everyone was thought like during the prison break that everyone thought was going to be like Night Eye's sister or whatever, who had like the same kind of hairstyle or like the hair color pattern at least?
I have no clue, honestly. Like, I don't look for like the little details in that manga
Yeah.
that
Okay.
much.
I think we're getting way off topic.
Yeah. So towards the end of gosh, we're still on the first chapter. Of the first chapter.
Hey, we're on episode 2 at least.
Yeah. But it's still only the first chapter.
It is.
Yeah, the first chapter takes up the first two episodes of the anime.
And then it kind of speeds up from there, I'm guessing.
Well, it's more of that the first chapter for any manga in Shonen Jump is like 60 pages instead of the regular like 25.
Ah, okay,
So it's basically like two chapters in one,
okay, yeah,
which is why there's only like one chapter per episode, basically.
okay,
The pace progressively picks up throughout the anime. It's just that it caps out at like about like two chapters per
yeah.
episode.
I was just trying to figure out how we get to 11 chapters in what 7 episodes? I think it's like 7 or 8 episodes.
Yeah, like once we get to like the school festival arc, which is like a lot faster.
I still think the
But
Todoroki Midoriya fight is one of my favorites.
it's pretty good. Um, so then we get into basically All Might telling Deku at the end of basically the first chapter or the end of the second episode, depending on whether you're watching the anime or not. That basically he could become a hero too.
I think that is a pivotal moment, and I know people get on Midoriya for crying a lot, but I think that cry was deserved because that is basically his whole life finally being validated by the one person it would mean the most to validate him. Even
Yeah,
to the point where
it's
his
it's
mother never supported him in his dreams and couldn't tell him yes when he
probably
needed
the
it.
one cry scene he deserves.
He has a lot of mental health issues, and I think that's why he cries a lot. I think he has
I
issues
I, I think
with
it's just
emotional
also
stability.
he. I don't think it's that. I think it's just more of that. Like he gets very emotional towards like his friends or
Yeah,
people close to him. So
which makes sense because he didn't have those before.
yeah, that's true.
Like I,
Um,
yeah, I don't know, but I think that really also the Bakugo scene, but right before that, like literally 2 seconds before it, when Bakugo shows
oh,
up, I think that's a start of a paradigm shift in their relationship because he's starting to realize that maybe Midoriya isn't as useless and weak as he thought he was. And he's starting to. It's the start. It's a very small start, but I think it's the start of seeing him as an equal in their relationship.
yeah. Though it takes a while for that to
It
reach
takes
its
a very long while, but it's the start.
climax. Like
Yes.
nearly 300 chapters, but whatever.
Well, I actually, I think we get around there. But I think
I
it gets a
don't think
lot
it is
better after the.
until like the Endeavor training that
I
it
think it's
kind
that.
of
I think that's
reaches
where it
it.
really means starts. But I think the real big thing that I can think of that I've seen so far is their fight in season 3 or 4. 3.
Yeah, by the end of season 3.
Yeah, I think that really cements that they're working and
It
getting.
does mark a big change, yeah.
Yeah, whatever the hell that fight was, it meant it's the start that they're getting to a lot better place, even though it means beating the shit out of each other.
I mean, sometimes you just gotta settle your problems by the good old
Settle it and
fisticuffs.
settle it and smash, I guess.
I mean, that's how Goku and Vegeta get over their stuff.
Honestly, if it works for them, it can work for anyone.
Exactly.
Okay, so All Might's telling him he can be a hero.
And so basically, we end off episode 2 by basically Deku saying that this is the story of how he becomes the greatest hero.
Saw someone pointed out to me earlier. Notice how he doesn't say the number one hero. I wonder if this vigilante thing that he's currently doing may be a permanent thing.
It says becoming a top hero. I guess A being a key word there.
Oh, the key word that I hear in the anime, and it could be a translation error, I don't know, but the key word that is constantly repeated is he never says number one hero. He says he's the world's best hero, greatest hero.
Yeah,
But he doesn't put a number on it, which is the thing that
at
really means
least
something to me.
in the translation that I'm reading, it reads of this is my tale of becoming a top hero. So
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder if he ever even becomes the number one hero, because hell,
I mean, it could be multiple people.
yeah. I think I think I mean, if you really want to talk about it, if you give Momo a gun, she's instantly going to jump up the hero ratings. Teach her how to make a gun. Simple as that.
I mean,
Give
she
her...
makes a cannon.
Yeah, but a gun's a lot easier to use and aim than a cannon.
Yeah,
Hell,
but you can also hurt people a lot more physically with a
remember
gun.
what Snipe did to Shigaraki and how he basically shut down the USJ with that?
True.
I don't know. It's usually a joke I like to make, but she could do some damage if she just learned how to make a gun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she makes other things so that are like really useful
Yeah,
as
no,
well.
I think Yajirosa's quirk is one of the most interesting out of anyone, just because of how the limitless uses it has.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll definitely talk more about it whenever we get to like some moments with her. But
Yeah, no, I think she's amazing. I think all of Class A, except for Mineta, obviously, he is dumpster fire. But
yeah, he is the shonen gag
I mean,
done to an annoying level, kind of.
I usually am okay with it. Like Meliodas, I was okay with. I thought it was kind of annoying, but I was okay with it. Master Roshi, it's okay. But that's only because the people they perv on aren't children.
I mean, he's a child himself, though.
It's still
So
weird. Also, how
and also
sexualized their
he
costumes are.
equally pervs on adults. I don't think they're as sexual. Like,
Hey, I
I mean,
raise you Momo.
other than Momo, like I
That's
don't
what
think it's that bad.
I think Momo's costume is a bit ridiculous.
I mean, it works, but I agree.
It works for what her quirk is, but there's so much better skin usage that isn't sexualized that you could be using.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like about the most fan service that you get, like within like the first 100 chapters of the manga.
But why are we using a 15, 16-year-old for fan service?
Yeah,
Midnight's there.
I
She's an adult.
mean, but the demographic it's mostly aimed for, it's fine.
I know, but then you have the
I mean,
adults that
it's
watch
not.
it.
I mean, it's also mostly just drawings. I mean, if you're not
Yeah,
looking like to do it to real life, it's not like you're
no, I
harming
know.
anyone.
I know. I just
Not to say that you should go like look at like 10-year-olds or something, but like
no, that would be weird and wrong. That is illegal.
yes,
I was just raising
yeah,
a concern that I saw being passed around.
yeah, it's a big concern in that fan base because it's filled with people from Tumblr.
Yeah.
Will then go
Um,
back around and then go ship those characters, even though that they complain about them being underage. So
yeah. Like I ship characters, not sexually. I ship them in like relationships, but not in sexual relationships. I think they're too young for
ship
that.
responsibly is the only rule that you need to know.
Ship responsibly. As long as it's not illegal, it's okay.
Yes. Or just also don't be like, oh, that ship is like trash because my ship is way better, you know?
Exactly. I hate that. There are ships that I don't like, but I'm not going to trash talk them because that's not fair.
Exactly. So I was hopping into a conversation about One for All since
The most fascinating, besides, I think even more fascinating than Momo's quirk is the uses, and All for One is up there. All for One and One for All, the most fascinating, and for good reason, they're the most
yeah,
fascinating quirks out there.
for for good reason as well as they're kind of like the
Yeah,
focal point. Um, but yeah, it's like it's able to be inherited, which is interesting and has a whole bunch of other things that are gotten into later. But
I had actually,
just for now, all we know for now is that it can be inherited and that the power from it is stockpiled. Thus, Deku needs to train.
yes, it is a power that is trained through each user and then passes on, which I really think is fascinating. Like, I think that's the biggest example of, and Midoriya himself is the biggest example of the quirk singularity theory, is that One for All itself is getting to a point where it's not safe to pass down. It's
Yeah,
becoming too strong. And, I think we're going to eventually reach a point where we come to the focal point of that.
yeah. And so after that, we get the intense training Deku has to go through of cleaning the
So,
beach.
can Midoriya canonically like lift 600 pounds because he lifted a fridge with All Might on it?
I don't think he like. I think he more of dragged it. I
That's
wouldn't say he
still
lifted it.
ridiculous. Like he is like even without One for All, that boy is strong as heck.
Yeah, I think that's like bodybuilder weights. I think like what is it? You mentioned it's like 255 kilograms on top of like a regular fridge weight. So that's quite a
Yeah,
bit.
like there are fun comics that I've seen where like someone's phone rolls under the fridge, and then they're like, "Well, I guess we'll have to wait for somewhere like for oh, what's the sugar guy? Uh, Sato. We'll
Sato.
have to wait for Sato, and Midori just walks in, picks up the fridge, and everyone just kind of like blue screens for a second.
That's pretty funny.
Okay, so big training, lots of training, 10 months. Midoriya already proving that he cannot listen to adults and follow orders when he overtrains himself.
Yeah, but I believe that's also just because he wants to
I
overcompensate
think he
for
does, but
himself.
I also think it's the start of showing how little he trusts or he can listen to others, especially adults. Like he wants to be the best and he's willing to put his body on the line even when people tell him stick to something.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of just also that he's willing to risk things a lot for the things he wants to
Yeah,
achieve, and that in itself is quite a dangerous
I think it's
mindset.
something that really needs to be addressed that he finds himself as an acceptable sacrifice, and that's not okay. And that part of me wonders how much of that
Yeah,
is because of Bakugo and all of the bullying from being quirkless.
yeah. Anyways, one after that, we then shift to well, we first get Deku eating All Might's hair to inherit One for All, which I'm like,
You know,
weird way to inherit it,
it's
but I
the best
mean,
way to get DNA.
I mean, I guess. I mean, there's also. Okay, does saliva carry DNA?
Saliva
I
does.
believe it
Saliva would
does.
work, but you want All Might to French Midoriya?
I didn't say you had to do that. I'm just like you just spit into like a petri dish and then drink
What's
it.
weirder, drinking someone's spit or plucking a hair off and eating that? Which one is going to have more bacteria?
I mean, both are pretty bad, but I
I'd probably take the
mean,
hair because I'd worry about what like illnesses would be in
true,
spit.
true. I guess that's true. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Both are pretty bad.
Yeah, not a fun way of doing it, but I guess if you have to do it some
Yeah,
way.
but yeah, you have to give DNA somehow.
Yeah.
So Midori is at the entrance exam, and it's saved from tripping from a girl who will not be named until later.
Cool. Thank you for catching me.
It's actually
I was about
Ochako.
to. Damn it! You took it because I was going to do it, but you took it from me. I was in the middle of saying good because I was about to name the character, and you clearly wanted to wait, but then you went and did it anyways.
I mean, we've already named like a whole bunch of characters that haven't appeared yet, so what's
You know what
gonna
I find
stop us from doing
interesting?
it now?
Just thinking about the battle trial, or not the battle trial, like the entrance exam where they're fighting the robots. We have let's count all of the Class A characters that are in that scene. We have Aoyama, Ida, Midoriya, Uraka. I think Kirishima's in there. Isn't there someone else?
I know Todoroki is
Not no,
seen.
Todoroki's not no, and he's in the
Oh, wait, no, he's. Oh, right, no. I forget who it is. I definitely know like there are definitely a few that
like
pop up. Just I
why
cannot
are they
remember which
all in
ones.
one battle area? How many are there? I thought there was a bunch, and they just all happened to be from the same one Midoriya was in.
Well, Bakugo wasn't in the
Bakugo
same
wasn't,
one, but we
but
definitely do see
we
him
see him
there.
in a different city. How many cityscapes do they have?
I'd have to assume. Well, looking at the diagram from the manga, it looks like about
And
seven different ones.
A, how big are those? And B, where are they at? And C, who paid for that, honestly? You know,
I don't know UA's budget, but we see them destroy a lot as like cityscapes that they build
my
for these
my theory
practices.
is that they don't actually pay workers to do it. They just send Cementos out there and have him build the cities, which logically makes the most sense. I mean, he's the one that built the dorms.
True. That probably does save a lot on construction
Yeah, just make it out
costs.
of cement. But then, how do they put glass windows? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I assume that you could just build like basically the rough outline of the building and then just have construction go in and do
I
the
guess.
rest. But
Whatever.
so we get into the explanation of the exam after that, of where basically you need to defeat a large amount of robots that are representing villains to get points.
Yes. Also, already showing the
Which
clear bias that even UA has towards strength quirks and power quirks.
I mean, we'll get into the second half of like what takes it to qualify, but before this, I believe, yeah, it mostly was just based on strength. I believe they said it was like a recent change that they
Yeah,
did
because
that.
like
But
Shinso, who we'll meet later, gets screwed by this.
yeah,
Granted, he gets the chance to come in later, but there are secondary chances. But I think there's blatant favoritism.
yeah, it's hard basically once you're assigned to a course to change that
Also,
course. Basically,
I just gotta say it. I was going to talk about it later, but I gotta get it off now. How did Hagakure get into Class A? How did she pass the entrance exam? She's invisible.
That's a great question. I have no idea how, especially considering that she doesn't learn her light refraction stuff till later.
Another question: how did she beat Midoriya in the quirk apprehension test?
No,
She's invisible.
honestly, I couldn't.
Midoriya trained for 10 months. I don't get it. Part of me wants to say those.
Was she on like? Was she on the top?
Yeah, she was. She was 1 point higher. She was one place higher than Midoriya.
Huh.
How?
I have no
It
clue.
doesn't make sense. Like, part of me thinks that Aizawa did that because he was planning on sending Midoriya home, and he kind of fudged some scores.
Oh, you mean in the quirk apprehension?
Yeah, how did she beat him there?
Well, I mean that. I don't think Midoriya was using his quirk for a lot of those
Invisible!
things.
She doesn't have anything other besides that. He's trained for 10 months. He's ridiculously strong.
I don't know. Maybe Hagakure is ripped and we just don't know it. We never see her body, so we never know.
That's fair.
I'm like, we never see her body, so we don't know.
That's fair.
But so they have the scoring point for the robots, but the interesting thing that I believe is only in the manga, because I believe in just the anime, it's just like a typical, hey, this robot equals this amount of points. They use like specific Mario enemies as the enemies, and Mario like to represent the heroes.
I saw that. I remember seeing that in the anime. They used a lot. For some. I don't know where it came from, but they use a lot of characters use a lot of video game graphics for describing stuff. Like Shigaraki talks in gamer speak. Bakugo, we see in the sports festival when Bakugo's looking at Midoriya, not Midoriya, at Todoroki, he's treating him like he has mana points and health points.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like just a dub thing or not. I cannot remember for the life of me at the moment, though.
Well, like we get a graphic of like a 8-bit, like a 16-bit pixel graphic of Todoroki, and then we have like a little health bar and a mana bar.
I remember like the kind of the Todoroki thing, because like it is pretty clear that it has like limits on how much you can use stuff.
Like, were you talking about the Shigaraki speaking in gamer speak?
Yeah, that part.
I still find that funny
because like I've listened to the sub and it isn't like that, but I don't know. I may be misremembering.
Hey, you know what? It may be. I think it's kind of funny because there's a lot of jokes that like Shigaraki buys those shirts that like I put down my game for this. Kurogiri buys Shigaraki shirts that are like I put down my game for this or something like that. And I think that's the funniest thing.
Yeah, maybe it is. I mostly watched the sub, but also it's been a long time since I've watched like the like or seen like the earlier stuff of My Hero Academia.
But I mean, Shigaraki's kind of smart. I do think like we see that in as much as he's a man child. I think which we'll get. We can get into it next time because I was going to talk about the USJ. But...
Yeah. I'm like we'll get into it that next time because I believe next time you want to just cover the USJ.
Yeah,
arc.
I was just going to finish. I've seen up through the rest of the battle trials, so we can cover up there. I don't think there's much to talk about after Midoriya and Bakugo because they kind of just gloss over everything.
Yeah, no. I mean, we get like one scene after that, which we'll talk about later. But it's very short.
I just got a question. What the flying heck is Todoroki's costume, and why is it so ugly?
Like his original.
Yeah,
outfit?
the white shirt with half of his body iced over with like the red dot on his eye. What is that?
Yeah, I'm glad that kind of. I mean, it's over his flame side.
I guess, but why? It looks hideous.
He doesn't have it later on, so I assume it's mostly just because he's ashamed of that side.
Yeah,
early on.
But then he pulls out a costume that basically looks like Endeavor's. It's got the same color scheme and everything, at least.
I don't know.
I think
like a. Yeah, but anyways, we get into the entrance exam, and Deku is unable to do anything until like the end, where he's able to beat the one robot that had 0 points assigned to it, at least from what they were told.
Yes.
And he like basically does the 100% thing, and we see the repercussions of One for All on Deku's body for the first time.
Which very violent, gotta say. Could have used some warning.
Yeah, unlike the way that they color that stuff, like both in the manga and in the anime, like gosh, that makes it look very painful. Like you're blowing out like your entire arm.
I actually really like the look of the one, like the lines on his arms with 100%. I think that looks really cool. Like his arm starts glowing. It's like a brighter shade of like tan or whatever, and then you got the pink lines running over it. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, like the anime does like really well, like animating One for All. Like it's really well drawn in the manga, but they animate it really well in the anime.
Just funny because I was literally like half an hour before we got in this call. I was watching someone doing an analysis of Todoroki and Midoriya fight, and they were mentioning how a lot of the fight scenes are still frames, but they add the action lines and to make it look a lot more energy, like have a lot more energy than what it actually has. Which props to them is amazing. Like great use of.
I mean, Attack on Titan, at least in like its earlier seasons, did kind of like the same thing with its like with like it's just talking scenes because like they get pretty intense at times.
I saw they showed the Kenny fight, the what is it, Levi and Kenny fight. That makes me want to watch the show just by itself because that's such a fluid and amazing fight scene.
Attack on Titan has so many good fight scenes like that. Like I mean, like that one is like probably one of the peak fights out of Attack on Titan, but there's still like a whole bunch of other ones that are still really good.
Okay, we can do it.
I definitely would recommend it, and I'd be up to covering that on here.
We'll cover it when I watch it, but let's get back to the show on hand.
Yes, of course. And so after that, we get that Deku basically makes it into UA, not because of the villain points, but because of the saving
hero points. Basically. I think is what they call it.
Yeah. Which in the translation I read it was saving points, but hero points works.
That may be a dub thing. I don't know, but
maybe I think it was like rescue points.
Oh, it was rescue. So, it was rescue points. That's what it was. Sorry, I have bad memory.
Yeah, I think the translation I'm reading is not great because it's a fan sub, one, but I'm not reading it illegally. No.
What's illegal mean? I don't know.
Nope. And so basically next we get into basically him getting into like his classroom for UA, and start meeting like a few of. Well, actually, I believe it's brought up from All Might after Deku leaves. What is it? Recovery
Yeah.
Girl. That's the
Yes,
name,
the
right?
youthful hero.
Yeah. That quirks can be trained, and basically, since he's net like just received it, that he'll have to train it up like he was from an
Yeah.
infant state.
Which I gotta add to that. You know what? Let's get through. I have a big thing to talk about, and I want to but we'll get into it after we finish. After we talk about Midoriya's ball throw, that's when I want to talk about it because I think we have. I have.
We have a little
Yeah,
bit before
there's
that.
just one thing that hangs on my mind that that if it happened and it should have happened would change the entire point of the story. But let's.
Yeah. So, anyways, after that, when Deku first enters his classroom, he gets confronted with Ida, who had been kind of a bit rude to him at the entrance exam, but kind of realized that he was wrong about it from just like how Deku
Yeah.
acted towards saving Doraka. And so I forget what it was, but like Ida basically apologizes for his actions during the entrance
You know, I
exam.
find it funny how like he's standing outside the door in the anime at least. He's standing outside the door and he's like, I hope there's no one mean. And the two people he thinks of that are mean are Bakugo and Ida. And the first thing he sees when he opens the door are Bakugo and Ida.
Yeah, I think that may have been an anime only thing, but like he definitely does like just run face to face into Ida immediately.
I also wonder because if we had to trade mean blonde kids, so if we swapped Monoma for Bakugo, how different do you think Monoma would be? Do you think he'd still have that like superiority thing, or
For sure. Oh, definitely
so
for
he'd hate
sure.
on
I
Class
don't
One
think
B?
that changed. Well, he'd hate on basically every class because he could do that since he's in 1A.
Exactly.
It'd probably be even worse than him being just in 1B.
Yeah, I probably honest. Because the reason he hates 1A is because they were attacked by villains, and he feels like they think that makes them better. So what would happen when he was then attacked by villains? Would he be like, well, I've been attacked by villains, so I'm better than all of you?
Yeah,
He would.
Like, unless it somehow humbled him, which I don't think it would.
Man.
Like, we're shown multiple times that man will not shut up unless Kendo bonks him on the head.
I just saw one where it's like Aizawa stole Kendo's jobs because in the latest season, he's running his mouth, and all of a sudden Aizawa just literally starts choking him out with this scarf.
Yeah, I'm like, no one's putting up with Monoma.
Yeah, but like
not even his own
you're
class.
choking a student out.
Like,
I think that pushes some limits of something. I get it. You can run the class the way you want to, but that's still a little much.
I mean, it's established when Aizawa enters. Nice segue. He's not a traditional teacher.
No, he's not.
I mean, he starts by saying, "Hey, we're doing a quirk apprehension test, and if you're in last, I'm expelling you."
Which isn't a bluff.
For which he has done.
Didn't he expel the entire class before them?
I believe something like that was said, or it was at least like definitely a lot of the class. Like, I'm like, wow, we're getting to Shokugeki no Soma levels of expulsion.
Baby anime nerd, what's that?
It's Food Wars. It's the one where they
I've heard of it.
Make very suggestive reactions to food.
Ew.
It's in reaction to eating it, but
it's food.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
But I mean, it's a good series. Just you kind of have to look past like some of those moments.
Okay.
But for the quirk apprehension test, like it starts off with like him explaining it like the 5. What's it? Yeah, it's like 5 different events.
That 7.
Yeah, but we only see like 5 of them.
True.
Unless they expand it more in the anime, but I know for sure in the manga they only show
Okay.
5. And like it starts with just him explaining with the softball pitch, but they don't do that fully until later.
Okay, yeah.
It starts with the 50-meter dash, which we get to kind of see like how like some quirks like Ida's or Aoyama's works. Forget it or not if they show Ashido's in the anime or not. They definitely
I
don't
don't remember.
manga, though.
I find it interesting that Aoyama was allowed to stay because of how bad his quirk hurt him.
I mean, I think like Ochaka's does a lot to her.
Yeah, but
as well.
Ochaka's is if she overuses it. Aoyama's just hurts him a lot of the time. More
That's
times than
true.
not, it hurts him. I thought. At least that's how I thought it worked.
Yeah, and
I mean, if
also it's just that Aoyama's also played up a lot as a gag character.
yeah,
as well,
I mean, if we want to talk about, I mean, Aoyama at least has potential. If we want to talk about characters that don't have potential, Mineta, he has no potential. His quirk sucks. I don't know why he's up.
I don't know. But he somehow like at least from what they showed in the thing, his sustained sideways jumps were really good.
Well, yeah, but the reason he beat the entrance exam, from what Horikoshi said, was that he just used his sticky balls to gunk up the robots, and that counted.
I mean, if it works, it works.
If it works, it works. But he has zero heroic potential. He said on numerous occasions that he's only in it so he could get babes, quote unquote.
Yeah. I mean, Ochaka's in it for like just the money.
Yeah, but she wants to help her parents. She's at least being honorable about it.
Just like, but if you just like boil it down, it's maybe not as noble as.
I mean, would Stain go after her?
I'm not gonna
Probably.
say Mineta's my favorite character, but I'm not gonna say that Mineta's like my favorite character or anything. But
I don't know.
He's not like by any means the
He's
worst.
a coward and cries at the first sign of danger. He's gonna get himself killed in the field.
Oh, he did pretty good in like 2 fights. I'm pretty sure, like one a bit early on and one a bit later in the most like in the previous arc that just finished up.
That's true.
Like he'll stand up when it comes down to it.
Hey, but then I raised you. I raised you
the
the USJ, and I also raised you when the Vanguard Action Squad attacked the forest, because he cowered it out.
Well, yeah, but those were times when they weren't prepared for it.
Yeah,
you know?
but you should. That's what being a hero means, is that you're never going to be fully prepared for anything in the hero field. You don't have time to.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he wants to. He's one of those characters who needs to be fully assured that he can do something.
I think he's a hero that Stain would kill immediately.
Yeah.
Like, no offense to Ochako. No offense to Ochako. Like, I love her as a character, but Stain probably kill her too.
Yeah.
Even though she's just a rescue hero and doesn't want the limelight, she gonna get murdered by Stain. Also, speaking of which, isn't he free right now?
I believe so, yeah. Because I believe they focus on
Overhaul's out
him as
too.
one of the characters.
Didn't Overhaul get out? Does he have robot arms now?
I don't know. Didn't he also lose his quirk as well?
No, he just had his arms cut off. That was how they.
I thought he had like that.
Nope.
I thought they put like that quirk like.
Nope, just the arms.
I don't know. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
We'll get to it.
Which probably be a while since actually. The only part of the manga I've read is like chapter 289 and up. I started reading when Bakugo got stabbed. Because I was like, oh shit, what's going on?
I mean, we'll get to it eventually. Yeah. I think we'll start covering in like bigger chunks once we finish season 1. So after that, we had the grip strength test, which I believe Midoriya did pretty well on.
He'd have to.
That was like one of the things.
He'd have to do well.
Yeah, that was like one of the things he was like training in, on just in his spare time, and you see it like constantly that he's always training his grip strength.
I don't know if it was an anime or if it was a translation thing, but I swear Shoji got like 680 pounds on his grip strength test. Like, oh
Yeah, no, I
my
believe.
Lanta, that's a lot. That's oh boy. He can crush the skull with that.
Yeah, no, I believe that's Yeah, no, I believe that is like that's what I remember reading as
I'm
well.
pretty sure he could crush a skull with his hands. Just pop,
just take a sec to
just a squeeze and a pop, and you don't have a head anymore.
yeah yeah like 540 kilograms.
That's a lot.
Yeah. No, I believe also Ida like does like 50 meters in like about 3 seconds, which is pretty impressive.
Ida is very fast. Very.
But it makes
Yeah.
sense.
So if
It makes
Ida's
sense like
rockets,
with
if
what
Ida's
its quirk
engines
is.
are his legs, is it Ingeniums or Tenseis? Is that in his arms?
I think just it's just like a family thing that is all on their legs. I believe that was like said recently.
I couldn't remember.
At least in the anime, I believe.
Here,
Yeah.
let me look it up. Tensei Ida quirk. It's in his arm. He has the engines in his arms.
Oh, he
Yeah.
does as well?
Tensei's is in his arms. Ida's is in his legs. Which is funny because
Got it.
actually they both have different fuel. If you'll notice, Ida's fuel is orange juice, but Tensei's is grape juice.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. And then there was the standing long jump, which I forget who did well on
Bakugo
that
did well
one,
on
but
that one.
oh, that's right.
He
Yeah.
can use his quirk to fly.
They show Aoyama doing well in that one
I
again
think
as well.
Ochako would do amazing on that one. Wait, or can she not fly it?
She could, but only for like a few
Okay,
seconds.
so maybe not as well as she could later on.
Yeah. Like she could only like hold herself in the air for like I think it was like 3 seconds, which we'll see like about
So I
later
remember
on.
when she saves Midoriya during the entrance to the gym, she's not floating herself. She's floating on a robot that she's using to hover.
Yeah. She because we'll get into it pretty soon, but she like floats herself for like about like 3 to 5 seconds in the trial battle
Yeah.
arc. Um and so basically after that was the sustained side jumps, which Madeda did pretty well in.
Yeah.
And then we get to the soft.
Yeah, no, he did good. I was gonna say he cheated. Like, no, wait, this is them testing their quirks. He did amazing.
Yeah, like his balls are pretty bouncy.
Sticky. Oh wait, but they can't stick to
They
him.
can
That
be.
was the thing. They can't stick to him.
Yeah, they can't stick to him.
Pretty ingenuitive.
They can stick to other things.
It's pretty
So.
ingenuitive. Also, what a quirk for a perv to have.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least it wasn't like invisibility or something.
But you can still use it for some pretty dastardly things.
Yeah, but invisibility would probably be way worse.
True. Or X-ray vision. I don't know.
Yeah, either of those would be way worse. And then we get to the softball pitch, which I find the funniest because Urarakas is literally just infinity.
She sent that thing to space.
Yeah. I'm surprised that the thing even just read it as infinity.
Probably because it went to space, and it's like, well, it's gonna keep going from there.
Well, no, but like, I don't think like any machine would naturally go to infinity.
Oh no, it logically wouldn't. I think it just reached a limit and it's like, oh well, I've stopped keeping track, so we're gonna mark it as infinity.
Yeah. I just find it funny that like that's like one of the tools that they have is like it could go up to infinity.
My theory is that it goes to a certain distance, and then once it reaches that distance, it can't record any further. It's just like, oh, it's infinity.
Yeah, I know. It's just that the author put it as infinity, which I find
hilarious.
funny.
No, I was thinking about it. It's like I wonder where Uraka placed on the board.
I forget. I do believe they show
it, but it's all in like
I don't
Japanese
believe,
or kanji or whatever.
Yeah, I don't believe they translated it.
Which means you'd have.
So I'd have to.
I could look it up. I'm gonna guess Bakugo came in first.
Yeah, like you'd have to look up his like the kanji for
I was
their
gonna look up
names.
their quirk assessment.
Wait, I never mind. What I was reading had it translated. Bakugo got
Not
third.
first.
Momo
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, hold on. I actually found
Hiroki got
I found the
second.
wiki for it.
Um,
Kenya got fourth. Otaku got eighth. How did Hagaku got 18th and Mineta got 19th? Like, I would have swapped that at least. How did Hagaku do better than both Mineta and Midoriya? That's cheating. I swear he fudged some numbers for that. Like, there's no way that came out naturally.
yeah. Also, from what I'm reading, did you say Oshaka did 10th? Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay. I thought you said 8th.
No, that was Kirishima.
So, and so basically, it's then Deku's turn for the softball pitch for.
Also,
I believe Aizawa taunts him kind of in a way by saying, like, by bringing up the plus ultra.
oh, not in the anime. Not in the anime. He just kind of lets him. He Midoriya winds up the throw, and then Aizawa cancels his quirk, and then talks to him. And it's like,
yeah, but he mentions like the plus ultra.
Maybe
thing, like,
I'd have to look it up.
I think it's before that, but it's like he brings it up as like, I want you to go beyond your limits, but then like Deku is about to do that, and then he does the erasure. Thing.
I don't remember that, but I also was doing work while I did it, so I don't know.
Fair enough. So basically,
sounds like something he'd do, though.
Yeah, but we finally see Aizawa's quirk, which is, I'd say, probably like one of the cooler ones. I
think that quirk is amazing, even though it can't be used on mutant type quirks. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, like, I mean, there are limits to it, but it's a pretty like cool idea and concept.
So what are quirk types? There's the emitter quirks. There's mutant quirks.
I didn't even know that there were like quirk types.
Yeah, I think there's classifications of quirks. Let me look it up.
I know there are Nen classification types.
What?
That's a Hunter x Hunter thing. Which is another good series that I'd recommend watching.
I can get on that.
We can maybe do that later.
I gotta make a list.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure it out after this on like how we want to tackle this.
Okay, so there's emitter quirks, like Bakugo's explosion. There's transformation quirks, like Mount Lady. There's mutant quirks, like Shoji. And that's about it. Those are the three big types. And then there's like accumulation quirks, like One for All and stuff.
Yeah. Also, well, there are three types, kind of like devil fruits. One Piece reference. Jeez. I'm just like, I know Shonen battles like series have a lot of like and similar power structures. It's just, it's fun to compare and contrast them sometimes.
Did 9 have All for One? 9 from the second movie?
He had like something pretty close to All for One.
Okay, because I've never seen it, but I kept seeing it, and I was like, well, that can't be right.
Yeah, he had like 9 quirks at once.
Oh, that's why he was named 9. Yeah, is it? I've been meaning to sit down and watch it. Like, I've seen Two Heroes, and I thought that was an amazing movie. I want to see more of Melissa Shield. Like,
I'd like to.
Like, personal theory, Midoriya's raps that he uses that they said came from America actually came from Melissa.
Yeah, like, I probably wouldn't be.
Well, they say it
if it was like from...
They say it came from America, but I personally headcanon.
I assume it's from the Shields.
Yeah,
like, I'd assume that it was from.
Are they still? Oh wait, did they get kicked out of Ireland? I can't remember.
I don't even know if like that's still up in the main canon or not.
I think that movie is.
I assume it's fine. Just they went through a lot of problems.
Yeah. Oh, did the Shields get kicked out after David Shield betrayed them?
I wouldn't think so because he tried to save them all in the end. Anyways, so after Aizawa erases Deku's quirk and tells him basically to try again, and if he doesn't like,
Basically tells him he's
I
gonna
think you
fail
mentioned
either
today.
way. Either give up, either use
Yeah.
your quirk and become useless, or don't use it and fail. Either way, you're going home.
And then we see
We see the
Deku
I
ingenuitively
gotta say, this is the
use his fingers.
best. This is one of my favorite scenes in the show because it shows Midoriya's ingenuity and how smart he is and willing to try new things to win and not giving up. Because like any other character probably would have given up at that point. You know, it's a lose-lose situation. But Midoriya found a loophole. He found a third option. And
Use your finger.
yeah, and then you have Aizawa's like this kid showing how impressed he is. And
Yeah.
then you got All Might's like, when did you become so cool? So the thing I wanted to talk about earlier is, did Aizawa have access to the student files? Like, I imagine it's got.
I would assume he would have to, like, because like he has to know like their names and whatnot and what they could potentially do.
Then how does Aizawa not recognize when his quirk came in?
I mean, because like they bring it up earlier in the episode was the
That they fixed.
not like earlier in the episode, but like the quirk registration thing.
They talk about it later, but I imagine there's going to be a footnote or a date next to that quirk as to when it came in. I don't know.
True.
So how would he not know? Because I think the biggest thing that
I'm just
that Aizawa has.
Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but like maybe it doesn't, and that's why he would assume that it was more of like, hey, you should kind of know this already.
I think the thing with Aizawa is that he sees a kid with an amazing quirk that's super strong, but never bothered to train it because he doesn't know when it came in. And that's why he was going to expel Midoriya, is because he saw a kid who had this quirk his whole life and didn't train it, but then learned that he does have the ingenuity to do it, to work through it, and then prove that he deserves his spot there. And better question, why didn't they tell Aizawa about One for All? I imagine that they would have he could have really helped. Like, I get it, it's a secret, but he's an underground hero, right? Which means he should be a master at keeping secrets. Plus, I think he would have helped them figure out the what is it, Folk Howling? Yeah, that he would have helped them get Folk Howling a lot easier. He never would have destroyed his hand beyond repair.
I don't know, like, what was the reason why they didn't tell Aizawa, because I feel like he probably could have been trusted.
Yeah, and also,
I know, like, it was meant to be a very tight-lipped secret.
Well, the thing is, remember, Midoriya goes to tell Bakugo, and All Might yells at him for it. But All Might told people. He told Naomasa, that was his name. The Tsukiyuchi. He told Tsukiyuchi. He told Gran Torino, Recovery Girl, Nezu. They all know. They all know. But Midoriya couldn't tell anyone.
I mean, it's like, I mean, I assume it's just like at the beginning. Probably, it's just like, you know, you want to build up like trust with people and whatnot.
But Midoriya's known Bakugo for years.
Yeah, knowing doesn't exactly mean trusting, though.
Yeah, that's fair. I will give you that one. But I don't know.
Other than that, it ends with the Aizawa not expelling any of them.
It was a quote-unquote logical rule. Yeah, logical rules. Yeah, whatever. I don't buy that for a second. You've expelled classes before.
Yeah, which All Might's like, yeah, you actually like them, don't you? And that's why you didn't do it. I just like that All Might like pokes at him about it a little bit. But other than that, we get into like the next episode, and basically it sets up like the trial battle thing, which we get to kind of see some of the costumes for the first time. And
I get it.
It talks about like the process that they were made, which I find interesting, like that you can like submit like the costume designs and whatnot that you want.
You'd want to wear what you're comfortable with, right?
True. I just like, you know, like I don't know. It's just more of like I find it interesting that like, because like It requires a lot of skill, you know.
Oh,
Like
I think
I assume not all of them are artistic masters.
I think
So
they were given like base descriptions of like Uraka says she wasn't specific in what she wanted, and that's why she got a skin tight bodysuit. I think they gave general like colors and design aspects, and
whereas Deku had like outline sketches and
well,
whatnot,
not even
which
that.
I guess it's
Yeah,
just
he
because
did, but Midoriya, Inko made it for him. Which, no offense to Inko, she really tried, but that costume's hideous.
I mean, there's only so much you can do with a handmade
Yeah,
costume.
like I feel bad that it got destroyed, but I'm glad we got something else.
There's only so much a handmade costume
It
can
was. I
do.
didn't like the shade of green. I think Midoriya's current shade of green is amazing.
Yeah, it was like really light green as
Yeah,
well. Like his darker shade is a lot
yeah.
better. Like it
I
matches his
really like his
hair.
new gloves in the end of season 4. And we're getting way ahead of yourself, but
Like I like things that come later that get added
I
on
like
to
that
his
he's actually using
costume.
support items. I think it's a really big change for him. Because he was
Yeah,
trying to be like All Might, he
but
never
anyway,
used them, but then realized he's not All Might, and he needs to have different ways of doing things.
yeah. And so then we get into the trial battle explanation, which is like 2-on-2 pairs, one being villains, one being heroes, and of course it sets up Deku versus Bakugo.
We wonders if the universe just wants to spit on Midoriya every time they pair the two up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it also kind of smiled on him by giving him Ochako as a team partner.
Yeah, but still spit on him by putting him against his main bully.
Yeah, who will become basically a main rival after this.
It's still a bully relationship, and I personally think it's still a bully relationship until their ground beta fight.
I think it's a bit more of a rivalry at this
Really, because
point.
physically assaulting someone during a trial during a finals doesn't sound like rivals to me.
But has he done it that much afterwards?
He punched Midoriya in the face during the final.
Yeah,
After the
after the
fight, no.
final.
After the finals, no. But I mean, how much
Yeah, which is like just like kind of where like I think they kind of began to respect each other, and thus it became like a
didn't
true
All Might
rivalry.
impale Midoriya during that fight? I swear I've seen multiple people say that.
I do not remember that fight. I remember that it was.
I swear.
I just remember like the moment of those two working together was
Yeah,
really
I
good, but
vaguely remember
do not remember the rest of it.
someone mentioning that like All Might impaled Midoriya on like a metal fence.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see it when we
We
get
will,
around to
but
it, I
like,
guess.
yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that All Might should have been fired for, and we'll get to it by the end of this.
Yeah, I mean, All Might's exception within this
Yeah,
fight.
All Might allowing that fight to continue should have gotten him fired for gross misconduct.
Yeah. That's basically why Bakugo was allowed to stay.
Bakugo should have been expelled for this fight. Like, I'll say it right here.
I mean, he didn't exactly do any like physical
No,
harm.
he
So
did. He did immense physical harm during. No, not during that fight. I'm talking about the Midoriya versus the battle training test. Like, he should have been expelled for the fight right there. During the battle trial, he should have been expelled immediately after, no questions asked.
Do you mean the midterm?
No, not the midterm.
This is the trial.
Yeah, no, the trial battle right here, where he says on open comms that All Might can hear, I'm not going to beat him up enough. I'm not going to hurt him enough to end the trial. I'm just going to hurt him just enough that they won't end it. That should have gotten him expelled immediately.
I mean, he said, I believe, at least from what I've read, he said I'm gonna try and kill him, but it won't matter if he dodges.
No. At the beginning of the fight.
I mean,
at the beginning of the fight when he and
I mean, it is.
yeah, at the beginning of the fight when he and Midori start fighting in the anime, he says, "I'm not going to hurt you enough. I'm not going to end the fight. I'm going to hurt you just enough that it won't count to end the fight." Like, he's blatantly showing that he wants to attack and injure Midoriya to the point where they almost have to end the trial. And then he blatantly disrespects and ignores orders and uses that giant attack indoors. All of that combined should have gotten him expelled. He blatantly went after Midoriya and was trying to hurt him. And is my Discord dying again? Yes. God damn it. Okay, it's back. Hello?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, I was just while you were working that out, I was just looking through.
How much is...
Yeah, no, he doesn't he didn't say anything of the sort. Also, you
Okay,
didn't cut
cool.
out, so.
Glad to see my mic still working.
But yeah, in the manga, he didn't really say anything like that.
It may
So,
be an anime thing, but
like, other than the
anime Bakugo
yeah,
should have been
I feel like
expelled.
it was. I think that was added prior, because like the thing about killing him but dodging that's in the manga, but
Yeah, but
threatening to like take him within an inch of his life, that was definitely not
yeah,
in there.
Bakugo should have been expelled for that fight. I'm just going to say it now.
Like, I think they just I don't know they amp up Bakugo's violence in the anime for some reason, and I have no
And that
clue
may be
why.
why I hate him so much. Is because of the anime.
It could very well be, because I've read the manga for a lot of it, and while like Bakugo isn't my favorite character by any means, I'm like he's fine. He's a little bit brash, but that's
Yeah,
about
he's
it.
physically aggressive and a bully towards Midoriya in the anime.
Yeah, like I mean, and there's like still those moments I think, but they're like not as bad. And maybe it's just because it's only like one page in the manga, where in like the anime it's like maybe like 10 seconds or
I
so.
don't know. I just do not
Yeah,
appreciate him. Do not. I mean, granted, I get it. He's a better character later on, but I haven't seen that yet, and I can't say how much I appreciate him.
fair enough. Um, yeah, I do like one thing though within like this battle, and it like kind of shows the ingenuity that Bakugo has with his own quirk and whatnot.
Let me guess. Is it him redirecting himself midair? Because I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, the
That was
redirection. Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, no. I'll give you that. That was really cool.
Yeah, also just they also mentioned like how he like produces his explosions, which is like from his nitroglycerin, which I
Which
believe
is,
is like his sweat is
yeah, that's how it
nitroglycerin,
works.
which
Which is an
is
amazing combination of his parents' quirks. Because his mother's quirk is nitroglycerin, and his father's quirk is acid sweat. So when you combine those, you get nitroglycerin sweat.
I see.
Like,
And that's how he's able to make his
yeah, because his mom's
explosions.
quirk. So the reason his mom looks so young is that her nitroglycerin things that she excretes keeps her looking young like that.
Ah,
Part of...
I don't read like much of like the extras from
Oh,
the
I don't read the
volumes,
volumes.
so like some of
I
these
just
characters.
pop on the wiki and I'll just do deep dives sometimes. I know a lot of weird facts.
Yeah, which I mean, the wiki probably has like the stuff, because those that sort of stuff is probably like in the volume extras, which I
Yeah.
have not read. So, but other than that, I believe throughout this fight they cover like the like Deku and Bakugo's history, like what kind of annoys what annoys Bakugo about Deku.
I think the reason Bakugo has such an issue with Midoriya is that, and I don't know how true it is, and I may be right on the money, is that, he's lived his whole life being told that quirkless people are nothing and useless, and then you see Midoriya, who's arguably braver and better than him, and he just doesn't know how to accept that. Like, Midoriya is the one who stands up to
Yeah, I
bullies,
mean,
who
like
helps,
also tries to like help him out when he falls off the bridge and
yeah,
whatnot
and
into the like river
he
below.
sees this quirkless kid who he's told is weak at nothing, being a better person than he is, and he just doesn't know how to accept it. And I think that's why he has issues
Yeah,
with him. I don't know how true that is, but that's my personal theory.
yeah. I mean, I definitely, yeah, no, like I definitely think that like it definitely plays a part. Like especially like his like Deku's willing to help even though he's so powerless part.
Yeah, I think it drives. Personally, I think it drives Bakugo insane. Like, he doesn't know how to.
No, and like he physically says that like in that
Yeah,
flashback part. So, but, yeah. After that, we get like basically like how all the characters were like except for Ito were not doing their roles properly for that battle.
I still think Momo and Midoriya are tied for like the smartest people in the class. Like, I think Midoriya is more
Sure.
intelligent analytically, but Momo has to be the smartest, like, chemistry wise, because like she has to understand how everything
Yeah,
works on an anatomical level to be able to create it.
like like she's very much like a strategist for like multiple people, and like works really well, I believe, on the fly.
Yeah.
And then we get a short scene of Todoroki just basically one-shotting his entire team.
I still love that. The scene from the anime, the line from the anime is like, "You can try and fight me, but I imagine it'll be hard when you have no skin. Hard to fight when you have no skin on the bottom of your feet." I thought that was badass.
It's something pretty similar in the manga, but yeah.
And I am definitely paraphrasing. I don't
Yeah.
fully remember the line.
Yeah, no, like it's something like that. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, that's about it for everything through the battle arc. I believe it ends with Deku telling Bakugo about his quirk, which we kind of covered already.
Yes. Logically, he doesn't believe.
Yeah. And so basically, and that's basically where the trial battle arc ends.
Yeah. Which.
And then you had one thing that you wanted to talk
that
about.
Was what it was the Aizawa thing. Like, why didn't he know? That was the one thing I wanted to talk about.
Oh, got it. Okay, right. And so then next time we will cover really the USJ arc. All right. Do you want to plug anything for yourself, or?
Sure. If you want to hear more of my voice and see me more, I do a lot of streaming on twitch.tv/TyrionKing, TYRIANKING.
All right, and thanks for watching, and hope that you'll join us next time. Leave any comments for feedback. It would be very much appreciated. Bye.
Bye.